The boundary between life and clinical death is often assumed to be absolute. However, medical history demonstrates that under extraordinary metabolic conditions, this boundary can become dangerously blurred. On November 23, 2025, at a Buddhist temple on the outskirts of Bangkok, an event occurred that challenged the local community's understanding of mortality. A 65-year-old woman, officially presumed dead by her family for over 48 hours, was discovered moving and knocking inside her own coffin, just moments before she was scheduled to be cremated. This investigation reconstructs the extraordinary journey of a patient trapped in a state of metabolic suspension and examines the clinical anomalies and administrative coincidences that saved her from an unthinkable fate. The chain of events began 500 kilometers north of the capital, in the province of Phitsanulok. The subject, a 65-year-old woman, had been bedridden for approximately 2 years due to a severe, debilitating illness. 2 days prior to her arrival at the temple, her caregivers observed what appeared to be the final cessation of her life functions. She became completely unresponsive, her skin grew cold, and her breathing appeared to stop entirely. Believing she had passed away and acting on a promise to honor her long-held wish to donate her organs, her brother placed her body inside a white wooden coffin. He secured the coffin in the open bed of his pickup truck and began a long, solitary journey to a specialized hospital in Bangkok. Upon arriving at the medical facility in Bangkok, the brother's mission to fulfill his sister's donation wishes was abruptly halted. Hospital administrators operating under strict legal and ethical guidelines refused to accept the body. The brother could not produce an official death certificate, a document legally required to verify that life has ended before any medical procedure can take place. Lacking this documentation, the hospital turned him away. This administrative rejection was the first critical safeguard that prevented a medical catastrophe. Frustrated and exhausted, the brother redirected his efforts toward arranging a cremation. He drove to Wat Rat Prakhong Tham in Nonthaburi, a temple known for providing free funeral services to those in need. But once again, the legal system intervened. The temple's general manager, Pairat Sorthop, informed the brother that a cremation was legally impossible without a death certificate. As the manager stood beside the pickup truck, explaining how to acquire the document from local authorities, the coffin remained on the vehicle, its lid sealed. The delay created by administrative protocol was about to save the woman's life. During their conversation in the parking lot, a sound began to emanate from the back of the pickup truck. It was faint, muffled tapping. Pairat Sorthop later reported his immense surprise upon hearing the noise. He instructed his staff to open the coffin immediately. When the lid was removed, the onlookers were startled. The 65-year-old woman was alive. She was opening her eyes slightly, breathing and knocking against the interior walls of the casket. The physical evidence indicated she had been signaling for a considerable time. Temple staff immediately initiated emergency first aid. A local rescue unit was summoned, and she was rushed to a nearby hospital to emergency treatment. To support the family during this extraordinary ordeal, the abbot of Wat Rat Prakhong Tham, pledged the temple would cover the entirety of her medical expenses. How can a living person remain unresponsive for over 48 hours, survive a long road transit in a sealed container, and show signs of life only at the threshold of cremation? The explanation is rooted in the complex physiology of a severe hypoglycemic coma. When blood glucose levels drop to critical lows, the brain deprived of its primary metabolic fuel. To prevent cellular death, the central nervous system enters a state of metabolic preservation, shutting down all non-essential functions. In this state, the body mimics clinical death with alarming accuracy. The heart rate drops to a level that is almost impossible to detect without diagnostic instruments. Respiration becomes so shallow and infrequent that chest movement is invisible. The muscles become flaccid, and the extremities turn cold. To an untrained observer, the individual appears to have ceased breathing and passed away. However, the human body's survival instincts are remarkably resilient. It is highly probable that the constant vibrations of the pickup truck, along with the rising temperature inside the coffin, acted as a prolonged physical stimulus. As her metabolic baseline fluctuated, she regained a brief window of consciousness, just enough to make the knocking sounds that saved her life. The survival of 65-year-old women was a medical miracle, but it was also a triumph of administrative rigor. In modern society, institutional bureaucracy and legal requirements are often viewed as obstacles to efficiency. Yet, in this instance, it was a strict adherence to protocol, the absolute refusal of both a hospital and a temple to act without a death certificate that preserved a human life. Without those bureaucratic safeguards, the patient would have been cremated while still alive. This extraordinary event serves as a reminder that the rules designed to govern our lives are sometimes the very mechanisms that save them.